I'm fucking trying to chew this taffy, man.
I mean, I can't help that.
I'm like halfway through this taffy. Hold on.
We were getting ready to start recording.
I know but like, the cinnamon tastes all over my mouth now.
It'd be alright.
I had to swallow it quickly. Now I'm unhappy with my taffy experience.
It'd be alright. Hey everybody, this is Jack. I'm sitting here with Spy.
Hello.
To any returning viewers, we want to say thanks for your continued support of the channel. If you're new to it, Spy Pie Gaming puts out content around games, industry news, and community events. If that's interesting to you, then I would suggest that you go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Today, we've got a couple of things to cover. The first one I'm going to go over real quick as a clarification because I did some digging and I really think it supports probably what we were talking about a week ago in the further developments video about Activision and the events going on around it. There was some information that had come out about some NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, and stuff like that. And I actually, in the comments to the video, somebody had suggested checking out a particular lawyer. You can go back and look at the comments. I can't remember the name exactly. I think his name was Richard Hogue or something like that, where he talks about the actual court documentation, and he's a lawyer himself, or at least that's what his channel says, and he kind of goes over, and explains the legalese of, what's on the page, which even to somebody who deals with that particular verbiage and way of writing things a lot, it trying to read it it gets bogged down because it's very wordy. They use very particular words, things like that. Anyway, so he goes into an explanation, basically making it sound like the non-disclosure agreements sort of support the point that something was going on, and it was kind of a way out for people who didn't want public attention. So, or he was explaining it was kind of a way out where Activision had made deals with these individuals in ideally in exchange for silence. There's not necessarily anything lawful that can keep you silent, even with a non-disclosure agreement supporting it. But I just wanted to throw that out there. Anyway,
if any of the information to come out of them,
yeah,
was covered by an NDA,
right,
it could be overwritten, likely in court, I believe.
Yeah, that was kind of that guy's point. If you were to say
something vulgar about what was going on to someone of importance,
right,
I think that it's more important to support the human right than the...
Yeah, some of what he got into was like an attorney-client privilege sort of concept, wherein the client in the attorney-client privilege is Activision itself, which I support that. I would think that I'm assuming you support that
with them having attorney-client privileges.
Yeah.
Well, every corporation as well as every individual should have the right to it.
Yeah,
even though it can muddy waters somewhat, it is your legal right, and thus extended to.
Right. You gotta have a place to. Yeah, you have to have a safe place to kind of air out what's going on and kind of figure out exactly.
Kind of something like a game plan.
Yeah.
Because when it comes to legal issues, they are long and they are arduous, and Blizzard, while I don't support them anymore, they have their legal right to seek lawyers and seek any type of situation that they can put themselves in.
Right. I just kind of wanted to, I don't know if it's necessarily clarifying, but I kind of want to add that information in because I don't know exactly how many people read the comments.
It is something, I think, out of all of it, is that, even though what's come out of them is pretty bad,
yeah,
they do have legal right to defend themselves, and it is innocent until proven guilty.
Right, exactly.
And so it's, when it comes to it, while we talk about it, this is our own opinion.
Yes,
at the same time, and we are just two guys, so while we might not always be right about it, or if we are or aren't, doesn't matter. But while we're not always right on the money, as to say, I mean, it's I think it's important to talk about it, because if you don't, then it kind of just goes away. Right. Something that shouldn't probably go away or just forgotten like that.
Right. That's actually, I was getting ready to say that. If you're listening or watching one of our weekly commentary videos, it is usually, the format is this: we relay information that we have come across, and then we give our opinion or thoughts or feelings or whatever it is.
And sometimes it can be hard to decipher between, but we try to keep the facts very plain and quick,
right?
Straight to the point with them. And our opinions are typically the moments whenever we stop and reflect on these things. And I think that's important to state, because, we don't have all the answers to what's going on. And hell, who really does, except maybe people in Blizzard themselves.
Right. So, now that that's out of the way, the other topic that we have is private servers. Spy has come across something he finds interesting, and I'm a little bit interested, intrigued by it, I guess is the right word.
By the way, this is probably where some of my personal beliefs into corporations and law of corporations might be a little tested.
You know what? That's okay, because free speech is a thing.
I mean, look, all right, I'm gonna say it, and while I just said, and I understand that this is gonna sound hypocritical, but I don't think it is, personally, corporations should have the right to defend themselves, but also kind of fuck corporations as an individual. Like, as an individual person. You know what I mean? Not as some entity, you know what I mean? But as an individual, I mean, you should go where you believe you should go.
Right.
And sometimes that's going to say fuck corporations.
So, as I understand it, so like World of Warcraft has servers, and while I do not have a history of playing the game, Spy does, and
yeah, I have a long history of giving them money and not knowing what it was going towards.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, and I don't even mean that in the recent context. I mean that entirely. Like, there were long droughts of content where I'm like, I should probably cancel, but my brother and other people, or even if he wasn't playing, my brother, because he's the one that typically was the reason I was playing, is if he was playing.
Right.
But I mean, the thing is, so I would come into the game and I'd be like, all right, we're going to play for as long as we can play. And that was every expansion.
Right.
Like, I just said that to myself. I'm like, yeah, we're going to play as long as I can.
Yeah.
And I would play for like a week or two. And then I'd be like, I think I'm done.
Yeah.
I think I'm done. And it happened every fucking time. Like,
I mean,
the last two is what I mean.
You have some of those games, man. Some of them are like it.
And then the thing is, I love World of Warcraft. Like, I love the franchise, like the world it's in. Like, I do.
Right.
But god damn it, can they not put content in it?
Yeah.
Can they not fix, like, this is the perfect game that they should be putting content in.
It is. It was, I mean, arguably it was number one for, a long time.
Almost 16 years. Almost 16 years.
That's, that's a big place to, or those are big shoes to fill, I guess.
How many MMOs have come and died?
A lot.
How many of them tried to replicate WoW and died?
So, not having played it, I can't exactly answer that question, but I can say that there have been a lot of MMOs that I know of that have had really strong bursts of short-lived life.
Yeah, Rift was one of those games. I was always interested in Rift, but it always felt like they kind of really tried to be WoW sometimes.
Gotcha.
And like, the thing is, like, WoW stood for so fucking long that so many people just got used to playing it.
Right.
I think that's what happened.
They probably built an expectation of how things are.
Well, the thing is that if you're playing today, the content you have is like raiding.
Yeah.
I guess PvP.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're really into PvP, like, I like PvP, but like, if you're really into tab target PvP,
yeah,
then yeah, I guess
you got a little bit of that in ESO too, like from when we played in Cyrodiil.
But yes, but
those people are putting a lot of effort into what they're doing.
WoW's content's different a little bit.
I believe that. I'm just
saying. What I'm meaning by it is WoW doesn't really have like an open world PvP unless you're on a PvP server, and that doesn't give you a lot of honor.
Right.
And then so I say that if you're on a PvP server, they've changed it now. I remember now. They've changed it. You queue into what's called War Mode, and you get placed in the same world, but everything's PvP.
Gotcha.
So everyone can engage or not.
Right.
Now, taking out PvP servers seems a little stupid to me.
Right.
I feel like if you joined a PvP server, that's kind of where you should be. The world gets more dangerous that way. And I think that if you rolled on a PvP server, you should probably just be playing PvP on it or go on a different server.
Right.
But people got mad about it because fucking raid guilds were on PvP servers. I mean, my raid guilds were on PvP servers.
Right.
But I don't know why all the raid guilds were on PvP servers. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're trying to raid and you're getting killed outside the gates.
Sounds like two separate
communities, yeah.
Yeah, entirely.
WoW's PvP isn't that great, honestly. I've had fun in it. The only thing you can really do if you want a PvP real time is queue either arenas, which is 2v2 or 3v3.
Yeah.
Or battlegrounds, which lasts for I think 15 minutes. I can't quite remember. It's been a little bit, 10 to 15. And they're just like basic ones, like capture the point.
Gotcha.
That's all they have for PvP content.
Right.
And the thing is that they even fucked with PvP gear in the last 2 expansions, and like now it's kind of okay. Now it's pretty good. I like the system. I played it when it came out. Whatever. I mean, it's one of those things. It's like, I like WoW because of its story, like the world. It's a world there, like, and it should be more about the World of Warcraft, not just the expansion.
Right.
So going into our private server discussion.
Yeah. So, all right. So, I think here's where I want to start at to try and understand this and why it's significant. So,
can I just say this real quick? I think WoW needs to start stealing ideas from Final Fantasy and ESO. Like, they used to be the MMO people stole from.
Right.
But now they got to play catch up.
Right.
They really should. And like, some of these ideas would really fit into WoW, like, pretty well in their own way, and wouldn't even feel like copies. And they're just like, nah.
Like, here's the
Torghast.
thing. Like, I'm gonna say this, and probably not a lot of people know it, but like, you know why fast food restaurants have drive-thrus?
Well, yeah.
Banks had them first, and they literally stole the idea from Banks.
Well, you should take the idea that makes the most sense, and they don't. But let's get into it. Private servers.
All right. So, if I understand how it's structured, if I understand correctly how it's structured, so you have the game, and you have, well, I'm going to call them sanctioned, like, servers that are a part of the game that the company owns and runs, or some version of that. So what exactly is a private server?
Okay, so a private server, for anyone who's not aware, including you,
Yes.
The main point of a private server is kind of like it's a community thing. So where people will take the client that they own, typically, I mean, you have to own the game, or at least have the content on your computer.
Right.
Which can be gotten through torrent sites. I understand that.
Right.
But you could just install the discs.
Right.
Say that Wrath of the Lich King, you want to play Wrath of the Lich King, which is second expansion after the classic era. Blizzard currently has no alternative of playing that.
Right.
You can't play Wrath of the Lich King right now.
Right.
You can't play the talents that they had. You can't play how the classes were. If you want to play Wrath of the Lich King content, you have to play on the live servers with the completely different game that it is now, and run content that is not tuned for you.
Right.
Which is not going to be fun because it's not the real content and it's not the real in game. Right. So people will sometimes take these and then they'll put them up to a server. They'll hook a server room up to them or whatever, and open them up to the public, where people can play for typically free. I know there's some of them that have some pay things, but even those typically get nuked quickly by Blizzard.
Yeah.
Warmane is one that's been sticking around forever. Their Wrath of the Lich King server, I've heard about them since 2014, I think. Like, they've been around for a while. The whole idea is it's a team of people, or one person, or however many people, but it's not Blizzard, who take the client, put it on a server, and allow people to join it.
Right. Okay. So essentially, someone they're creating a server and rebuilding old content on it. So it's kind of like the idea behind like an emulator, I guess, maybe.
Yeah. Think of it that way. Think of it in this way. So Blizzard servers are set up for their game specifically.
Right.
These guys don't have that tech typically, and a lot of the time, their servers are going to be a little flawed. I mean, there's going to be bugs, there's going to be broken things, and it's just inherent with trying to move a game onto a different server.
Right.
So, essentially, like, this is a way that a lot of people play, like, old SNES games or NES games, like, and especially like in 64 stuff. Like, I mean, the prices of them for collectors have gone really high.
They're insanely high. Like some of the Super Nintendo games are like $200, and that's without a box.
Yeah, and that's an issue for people who just want to play the game.
Right. Especially
if you either own the game already, or if you have owned the game before and you may just want to play it once or draw, and you're not really inherently doing anything illegal. I mean, you are through plagiarism technically, but fair use law can kind of go over that, I believe. The way it is that the companies no longer make money off, like, Nintendo no longer sells SNES cartridges.
Right.
They no longer sell N64 cartridges, and they no longer sell anything for the GameCube or Wii.
Right.
Which means that the company no longer has a profit incentive to maintain these IPs, these games.
So they kind of just like leave it alone.
Yeah.
I personally have an emulator on my phone where I can play the SNES games.
And it's a lot cheaper for a lot of people to just put a Raspberry Pi in their living room and just play. Yeah. I mean, realistically, I don't see a problem with it because no one's going to be making money off these anyway.
Right.
Like, the people who made them.
You get the hardware people.
Yeah.
And that's, but they're selling you the hardware to do with what you want to.
Right. I mean, buying a GameCube today is going to go up. It's going up.
Oh, yeah.
Like, when I bought my GameCube, I bought it for cheap.
Yeah.
Like, I was lucky to find it in cheap. And it was kind of dented up a bit.
Yeah.
And I can't even imagine if one of the parts were broken. Like, there's just no, like, support for these things anymore, and eventually they will die.
Right.
Eventually your consoles will break, and eventually your discs will become unreadable, and that is just the degradation of hardware.
Yeah.
Especially when these games used to be only hardware locked. Like, you couldn't download this stuff.
Right.
So I can see it from a point of preservation as well.
Yeah.
To preserve the content.
Yeah, I understand that because I had a Sega Dreamcast at one point, and the power cord, I forget now exactly what happened to it, but the power cord was faulty, and I was trying to find a replacement for it, and I just couldn't. I couldn't find one.
No, and it's
anywhere.
hard. It's difficult to find these old pieces.
Yeah.
And especially because they're all in pieces now.
Yeah.
I mean, kids had these 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's these are old systems. Like, these are not going to be in good condition. If they are, they're going to cost you a whole lot more.
I'll never forget this. I saw an NES.
Yeah.
So the original Nintendo Entertainment System in the box, still in the cellophane, and it was like some ungodly price.
Oh yeah, they're going for high money. I mean, it's because you can't find them like that.
Right.
Like, and I understand those ones.
The thing that blew my mind is you could take that thing out of the box and it may not work because of how old it is, right?
Yeah, I mean, degradation of hardware. It's been sitting.
It is a collector's
literally
item
been
at this
unplayed.
point. Yeah.
Like, I mean, even think about it this way. If you took an old IBM computer, have you ever had one of those or saw them in like an office?
Yeah.
Right. You know what happens to them after they die?
Yeah.
Is they sell them wholesale to just whoever the fuck will buy them.
Yeah.
And then those people go online, they sell them for like $80.
Yeah.
That's how like a lot of you can actually build a really like half decent kids gaming computer.
Right.
By just buying one of those things with a nice processor and putting a graphics card in it.
Right.
And you know, that's good, but there's a chance though on some of these that like what if they're just corroded.
Right.
Like the older the hardware, they have just a chance of just the batteries leaking or whatever. Like
electronics are prone to that anyway. Like,
and this is an era before electronics were more dependable.
Yeah, and they're I mean, arguably they're still not even really, because you can get some, something that is an electronic part.
Yeah.
And brand new, taken out of the box, brand new. And it just doesn't work like right out of the box.
I mean, I'll say this: I'll always prefer playing Smash Melee on an actual GameCube.
Yeah.
But I mean, if that's just out of your budget, because it's reasonable to say it might be, seeing a Smash Bros goes for triple the price it did retail.
Right.
Then, yeah, I can kind of understand why maybe you just, And the thing is, what if you even own the game?
Right.
Like, how many people own a game from a console they don't even own anymore?
Right.
Like
that was me at one point. I had like a box of SNES games,
right.
No SNES, so I had no way to play it.
Well, I mean, how many I've had like uncles, they're like, hey, you want a bunch of old games I have laying around? And you're like, yeah. I mean, why do you have these? You don't have a console for it? And they're like, oh, we did when the kids had it a long time ago. And like, it's one of those situations where it's like, are you really pirating it if you have it?
So I agree with that statement. Like, if you've purchased the content, I don't see how it's pirating, but
because all you're paying is paying to people who are collecting.
Right.
Like, you're paying to people who have kept the items.
Right.
You're not paying Nintendo anything, which means that Nintendo wouldn't make money off your purchase anyway, so why is that a validation for it?
Right. And even in the day of like, all right, so I was getting ready to say that wrong. Like in those days, you weren't buying like something that had a product key specifically for you and stuff like that.
No, you were buying an actual piece.
Right.
You're buying the actual disc.
You physically own something, and at that point now it's, from what I remember, it's always do whatever you do with it. Like, that's those collectors that don't have the systems, but they got the boxes of games. That's where those $200-$300 cartridge games
that has gone away a lot too, which is really sad, but I understand it.
It has.
You buy keys now. You buy a key to a game.
Yeah.
To unlock the purchase you made.
Right.
Which is kind of it seems kind of backdoory for a company to kind of yank.
Yeah, I don't know.
But either way, the whole thing is that, if you were someone who played Wrath of the Lich King back in the day, like 2010, I believe, like, you own the game.
Right.
Or you did at least own the game. to play it.
Right.
And I doubt many new people to the franchise, if there are any, are going to be playing Wrath of the Lich King. They're going to play the new game first.
Right.
So, when it comes to it, Blizzard makes no money off Wrath of the Lich King.
Right.
They make money off of Shadowlands.
Right.
They make money off your subscription.
Right.
I can't fault anyone for playing on a private server if you just wanted to, I don't know, like make an old character that you had one time, or just experience the content as it was when you remembered it, you know? I mean, hell, I've kept things in my mind from games that are so old now that I doubt anyone remembers them even.
Right.
And that's one of those things that, you know, I could see why you'd want to do that, especially because there's no official way to play it.
Right.
Like, you know.
So what is, as I understand it, there is a, you mentioned that they shut these private servers down. What exactly about the private server's existence is presented as the problem? I'm not going to say is the problem, because I may not agree that it is a problem. You may not agree that it is a problem. The people playing it don't agree that it's a problem, but
the thing is that I think what they really want is a way for them to monetize people who don't want to play the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, think about it this way. The classic era and TBC era are doing pretty bad.
Yeah.
Like, performance-wise, I mean, they're dying because botters. Like, botting is a huge fucking issue in that client. Like, why Blizzard allows botting in a game like that to such an... I mean, you can't ever win against botters. It's an arms race. Botters will eventually find their way into your game.
Right.
If you leave it alone long enough, though, your game becomes botters.
Right.
So, realistically, if you want to think about it, you know... the thing that they get them on, the thing they get them on specifically, is that it is their trademark property.
Right.
Which means that they own all, like, distribution of it. And if someone is selling you, or not selling you even, if someone is giving you a way to play their game unofficially,
right,
then technically it goes against the distribution part of it.
It's like that warning in a movie.
Well, yeah, right. It's like, you know, you wouldn't steal a TV.
Yeah.
You know, that whole thing where it's, you can't... The issue, I think, really, is I don't think these private servers hurt anyone. They hurt the brand.
And so...
To them, as a and I don't think it does.
I think to them is a direct, or is a... I think to them is an accurate statement, because I don't know exactly how it hurts the brand. It's a thought that I don't necessarily wrap my mind around.
I mean, why wouldn't you let people play the old version? Eventually, they're going to run out of content, and they're going to want to play something new.
See where things came from.
Well, I think that the reason for it, I think, is that they want to sell it again, which is why the classic era TBC servers exist. And look, back whenever Classic came out, I was one of the first people to say they're going to do Burning Crusade, and they're going to do Wrath of the Lich King, and they're going to market it as a trio, because those are the highest, like, performance they'd ever gotten, ever. Like, the game peaked. Maximum. And it peaked in Wrath of the Lich King and is yet to come back to that. Like, that's been 12 years. Or not 12, it's been almost 12 years now. Right? So, if the game peaked 12 years ago, I think that's why they're concerned. I think that's what it is. I think their concern is that people don't like the content they're making, and it hurts the brand when people talk about it negatively while playing a past version. I mean, because people talk about it. Like, hell, I've known people who've played on private servers. Myself, I've never actually really gotten into them. I never played them, I don't really think. I think I've logged on to a few of them to, like, test them, because I'm just interested more than anything. I don't think I've ever made it to level 10 on a private server. Like, I mean, if anything, I've probably only given an hour to, and even then I didn't really care much for it, but I don't know. the thing is also that they can the chance, and this is what I'm talking about now, is what I want to talk about now, is the chance that they make something better than Blizzard.
See, all right, so I have to stop you there. So, in the world of PC games, modding is a thing, and so I do mod as shown in the last couple of
That's add-ons. That's a little different. It's considered different between MMOs and RP and other.
It's a function that doesn't exist. It's content that doesn't exist in the game.
Right.
It's something that does not exist in the game itself.
I just want to make sure because modding a game like that implies that there's more file situation. It's add-ons, but it is, yes.
Right. It's something. What it boils down to, though, is it's something that does not exist in. I'm going to call it the base game. Yes, I understand there's DLCs and expansions and things like that, but I'm going to call it the base game. There's
the game that you pay for.
Yes, there's something that doesn't exist in the game that you purchased. And PC gaming is more so heavy in that area of
it's also because we can literally look at the files on PC.
Right.
And I mean, that's where it came from.
There's ways to do that. Like consoles are going to, all right, so you have a disc, but you have to download the what's on the disc and all that stuff. Like,
I think the reason that PC gaming is so focused on modding is because, and this is something we talked about before, privately. I think the main reason is that you ever played a game and then you're kind of like, man, I really wish they did this with it.
Yeah.
And I think what it is the ease of accessibility to just go into the file and change one variable.
You have a much easier time going in and just making it happen.
Right.
But so, all right. I use Minion, add-on manager, whatever it is. I use that for the ESO add-ons that I have. And it lists ESO and World of Warcraft. Those are the first two, and I think maybe the only two games that particular add-on manager searches for. So they support some of that activity in some context, in some capacity.
And it's because Blizzard specifically opened up their API for add-ons, and so is the Elder Scrolls Online to some extent now,
which is one of the smartest things a company can do, because
as long as it's not messing with actual
look at
files.
Amazon and Facebook.
Actual files should not be modified on MMO because that can cause.
I understand.
But UI elements are more than free. Now, Elder Scrolls Online never opened their API up, if I'm correct, which means that you can't have damage meters that read everyone else's damage. Right. You can have combat metrics tells you the percentage of damage you're doing to the thing.
Right.
But still consider that you're not getting the full readout.
Right.
World of Warcraft, however, opening up their API led to stuff that I considered a detriment. Details is a massive add-on that people use a lot, where it's just, it reads everyone's damage per second to you.
Yeah.
And I think it's created so much toxicity within the community because everyone's statistic numbers, and people read that more than they look at boss fights.
I cannot stand the focus on DPS that exists, because
you'll know if someone's doing bad. That you don't need a metric.
You don't need a number to know that somebody is doing bad. I was running a dungeon today and somebody popped the vote to kick thing, and I was like, all right. I don't really notice, because I'm not paying attention. I'm just trying to get through it.
Right.
But if you are paying attention, they die or they're not participating.
And the thing is, you can also tell by the spells they use. If someone's in the back just slinging fireballs, that guy's not really doing much.
Right.
You don't need a full readout, but I think I understand why you'd want one, but I think it has created some toxicity. Elder Scrolls Online doesn't let you read other people's damage.
I could see it if you wanted it for yourself. I can understand that.
Oh, that's fine because that's
a way to tune and tweak.
Well, because it's a voluntary thing as well.
Right.
Like no one's, if you get asked, it's voluntary to reveal that information or not.
Right.
And also, it also creates a situation where you could lie, but still, it's better, I think, than just...
You're going to know if somebody's lying.
Yeah. I mean, of course you would. I mean, fuck, how many times have we done dungeons together? We're doing good, but then, we have one guy that's fallen behind, but he's not bad.
Right.
But he's falling behind on damage, but he's falling behind not because of the damage readout, but because
things are taking longer. And
because he's fighting his own beast, and it's taken him a year and a half to kill this one Guar.
Right.
And, you're like, well, I mean, he does mechanics, so you typically take him along because he's not going to die.
Right.
And he does more than 0.
Right.
Because he's not dead.
Right.
And that's something that needs to be brought back into MMOs more.
Yeah.
Is the idea of, you take a guy or whoever, or girl, whatever, you take the person who's out there in the world.
You just did that.
I know. You take the person who's out in the world and you say, hey, you know how to fight this boss?
Yeah.
And they go, yeah, actually. And you go, all right, you're in.
Yeah.
Come on now. We're going to go do March of Sacrifices. And then the guy
the
guy either does it or he dies. I
hate that dungeon.
And this thing,
that dungeon.
He either lives or he dies. And if he survives and he's not doing something stupid like taunting away from you as the tank, then you just, you're just like, all right, come on.
Yeah.
As long as he's providing and he's there.
Right.
Who cares?
So I think we've strayed a little bit, but I think there's
so you're talking about
a more thorough understanding of private servers and what the function is, and I will say this, something you had mentioned earlier, some of them charging money. I'm gonna guess that's probably, if they're privately hosting it, I'm gonna guess that's probably for the cost of privately hosting it.
It may be. I'm sure part of it does pay for that.
Yeah,
I know. I've heard some of them being a bit more weird about it, like buying gear.
Yeah,
but then you've also heard I've heard a few here and there where it's just like XP boosts.
Right.
And it's small things that help support the server that you want to play on.
Right.
Now, that's not, I don't think that's unreasonable to add an XP boost. It's something that exists or doesn't for the player who wants it or doesn't.
And the thing, all right, so even let's say every penny was dedicated to supporting the server itself.
Or
if that's a problem, I'm getting ready to say something illegal. So
I don't think it's
disclaimer, spoiler alert. Okay,
I think if you're buying
to say
gear,
something illegal.
If you're buying something like gear, that's an issue.
Well,
if you're buying,
here's the thing: if like a subscription or however it is that it's structured and publicly put out there, right?
Yeah.
I say publicly, however it's put out there to the people who want to play on this particular server,
as long as they're not lying to you,
do it different, and maybe you don't get caught for making money off the game.
It's a little weird, but yeah,
I understand what I just said and the ramifications of it. I understand that, but here's the thing:
the situation is that I don't agree with paying for stuff like that.
I own Morrowind, and I'm gonna turn it into an MMO, and you're gonna subscribe to it, and Bethesda's gonna be pissed at me. I'm not gonna present it as a subscription, and it's gonna be a GoFundMe page,
right. And that's that OpenMW is another situation like that where they specifically didn't call it Open Morrowind.
Right.
The mod doesn't say Open Morrowind, it's Open MW. And that is let's be very clear, it never once did it state Open Morrowind, it is Open MW.
Right.
And I say that only for the people who do play on it.
Right.
And legally, I want to make sure they're safe about it because, no, it's not Morrowind, what are we talking about?
Right.
No, it's Open MW.
Right.
And the reason for it is, that's kind of cool. I like the idea.
Yeah.
Is that people fucking took the base game of Morrowind and had made a modification
that
allows them to play with friends
And that's cool.
And if you wanted to charge for that, I can understand that, because you kind of made something unique.
You put some work into something that didn't exist, and there might be, should be a payoff for that, and I understand that. And I'm not pushing the idea that you should make money off of somebody else's creation. I'm just saying, if you were to do such a thing,
if you were to do something
don't
unique,
be real dumb about it.
Right. I think, though, now OpenMW is free. Right. And that's, but so modding being paid for, that is a big debate. And I typically lean in the fact that if a modder prefers to be paid for their work,
right, that
is their preference.
Yeah.
If you make a set of armor for Skyrim and you want to be paid for it,
you should get punched in the face because you made it for Skyrim instead of one of the other games.
But I'm still saying that if you make a mod for a game and it's unique,
right,
and it's an armor set that's not in the game, uses none of the same assets, and you handcrafted it and you wanted to be paid for it, it is your fair choice, I believe, to ask money for it.
I mean, it's code that didn't exist that you spent the time to make sure that it was debugged and you did everything right. There's a lot that goes into coding. Like,
I don't think Bethesda should be the ones dictating which ones are paid.
Yeah, it's
because they did the same thing with the Creation Club, where now you can pay for mods.
Right.
And they tried one time before and failed with Valve to make the Steam mods be paid for, and it failed like in a month or so. Like and the reason for it's because it's a corporation meddling in the affairs of person to person.
Right. They're going to stop it. Is what's going to happen, and it's going to go underground.
Which person to person transactions for things in a game that someone else has created, I see it more as artistic than anything else. I mean, you're paying for artwork more than you're paying for
gameplay.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's I understand that. And if a modder personally wants to get paid for it, my opinion is they should have the right to ask for it if they did not use any of the original assets.
Right.
I think that is the only limit to it. That I think is if it is something that they created. It has to be a creation.
Right.
It can't just be, I put 4 lampposts in Riften, pay me $5.
Right.
It's got to be something
a
bit more unique. But then again, I don't see why you couldn't charge for it, but I don't think anyone's going to pay for it.
Yeah, it would have to be... It would really have to be probably value adding, I would say. But that's with anything you pay for. If in mass people don't see some kind of value return, like equivalent to the amount of money that they're spending on it, or more,
an armor set
they're not going to pay for it.
An armor set for $3, I probably would never pay for myself, but I see why people might like it.
Yeah,
but Bethesda's way of thinking about it is $10, $15, and then you start getting into the situation.
That's a common thread amongst. I would probably say any kind of content, like
they're piggybacking 70% of profit from a creator.
Right.
When in reality, he would make probably the same amount.
Right.
If he just sold it on his own.
Yes.
But he can't.
That's what drives those types of things underground.
And that's an issue. I think it's an issue because I don't see a reason why you can't. I see a reason why the company has the right to protect their intellectual property.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
I want to go on the record because some sketchy stuff I understand has been said. I want to go on the record as saying, I'm not saying, and Spy here is not saying.
Neither of us are saying what he is about to say.
Right. We're not saying steal somebody else's stuff, market it as your own, make money off of it.
No.
That shit's wrong.
Absolutely.
You're a fucking degenerate if you do that.
I mean, yeah, if you're going to steal content, and then repackage it, what's different?
That's the definition of like
con man.
Yeah,
that's snake oil. It's bullshit.
Yeah,
they're really
making an improvement is a community that already exists. Like,
and if you're making an improvement,
full-fledged mode,
then
like,
yes,
well developed, and it can't be a secret to these companies that own these games that they exist.
Yes.
Like, there are massive websites that exist. Companies have bots or crawlers that search the entire fucking internet for like mentions of their name, just
to get trends. Really,
that's a lot. I mean, it's to get trends. It's to protect the brand. It's
well, if you get enough telemetry on a brand,
mm-hmm.
I mean, you know where to go.
Yeah,
you know exactly where to put your product next.
Well, yeah,
and enough telemetry will let you sell anything anywhere you want it.
Yeah, it's a big part of what they're doing, though, and I can say this from personal experience, but a big part of what they're doing is they are monitoring brand image as well.
Well, and they have the right, I believe, to monitor their own brand.
That thing would translate over into, if they really wanted it shut down, they would find it and shut it down, because I promise they found it. They know it exists. It would not if they care.
The only reason that Blizzard can't shut down many of these servers is because they are hosted in places that have no law in our laws. Like, they have no... They
don't have
they don't have a way to...
legislative equivalent.
Yes, so, like, Russia is... Russia themselves, the country, has taken a very offhanded approach to hacking. Okay. If it's in a different country. Yeah. So the government themselves take no responsibility for the hackers or the people who do things outside of their country borders. And they actually have no punishment for them either, as long as they're not within the country.
Okay.
Which means that if you were to host something, or...
Now we're getting into VPNs and shit.
Yes, but I'm still saying, if you were, as long as you were in like a country like Russia, and you hosted something there, technically the U.S. legislation wouldn't translate to closing down any affirmative action that would be causing them to shut it down.
So to move to the next question, because this is kind of what we were talking about before this particular discussion.
Yes, we get off topic quite heavily, don't we?
Well, no, I mean before the recording at all.
Yes.
So apparently, what you were saying is there's been sort of a magnifying glass pointed.
So what I'll say is, I think that Blizzard right now is pretty aware of other private servers.
Yeah,
I think that they
absolutely are.
Now, before Classic WoW came out, there was a really, really big private server. I mean, it got to I can't remember the number, but it got enough to where Blizzard saw it as like a threat.
Right.
They sent an affirmative action, and they got it in.
Yeah.
And that's actually where they got a lot of the source code for Classic WoW, was they actually met with these people.
Right.
And they got a lot of their code.
That's interesting.
Which means that the games are somewhat, I guess, emulated.
Right.
I don't know exactly. Right. But we don't know exactly. But the truth of the matter is that they did meet with them.
Right.
And they did interact with them enough. And they gave over their code to Blizzard, which means that Blizzard may or may not have used it. Now, either way...
They probably used it.
They probably did, because a lot of the assets weren't actually still existing.
Right.
So, which means that they had to fill in the gaps, and they were very close. So,
look, time passes, you misplace things. It's it's a thing.
But now there are servers, so they got slammed hard with the hammer. I mean, they got kicked out. And those guys didn't hear shit from Blizzard for a year or two.
Right.
I don't know. They have yet still, and it's kind of weird because these guys, I met them.
Well, they got what it sounds. This is one of those opinions that we do on this channel. It sounds like they got what they wanted, needed, however you want to put it, out of the situation. And now they're like, we're going to pretend like that didn't happen.
And that's what a company would do.
I mean, people do that, yeah.
Yeah, but I think a company is
on a grander scale, it absolutely would happen.
I think the thing about it is, so now there are servers coming out with new content, which is... Alright, so beforehand, I knew that there were servers out there that had, like, buffs to difficulty.
Right.
Because, like, that's simple. That's a change in number value.
Right.
Now there are things coming out with new abilities. Like, new classes, new stuff.
New content.
Yeah.
All together.
And I've even heard stuff about new zones, as well as new raids and dungeons. Which means that
That's interesting.
Right, and I think the reason the community is now at this point where they're like, we're just gonna make content, is because Blizzard hasn't. Blizzard has fucking failed, man. They failed to make content that they should have. And now, this content that has been left behind, this game,
right?
People are coming in, they're saying, look, the pieces are here, and now we have, like, WoW Classic, which means that that's even easier probably to rip than any other old version.
Right.
Which means that people
and you would have the updated software or whatever behind it.
And you could probably match it up to better hardware.
Yeah.
And that's more likely than not what's going on. And that's why I think we're seeing more of a boost here in that. Anyway, there's been a new server coming out, and it's coming off of another server, but I don't quite remember much about that server other than they had a system where you could basically make your own class. Like, you could be...
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so you start at level 1, and every level you can get a new ability, and it can be from any of the classes. So your character can become wholly unique. Well, now, this thing has come out, and they've added just a ton of classes.
Right.
And some of these classes are even weirder because they're classes that were added later in the game. Like Demon Hunter and Monk are classes that came into the game way later.
Right.
And now they're part of this server, which is on a client that's older than it. Now, so that makes sense. And a lot of these actually make sense when you think about them. Their classes are pretty close to the lore.
Yeah.
Close enough that you could even see Blizzard creating something like this, but they won't. And so there's like, a bunch of new classes. I mean, you got Necromancer, one of the classes that people screamed for.
Right.
Starcaller, which is more like Druid. Let me look at it real quick. And yeah, Tinkerer. Tinkerer is on here. Tinkerer is a class that people have been asking for. I don't even know how long. It's just been in the public consciousness that long.
Yeah.
Like, people are just like, we want new classes, we want new things, we want new places to be.
Right.
And now this server...
That's a reasonable ask.
I think a new class is more than reasonable. Especially because...
Should be an expectation.
Well, yeah. I mean, we didn't get a class this expansion, which is strange because typically we get a class every 2 or 3, and now we're going on to 3.
Right.
Or 2, I mean, we're on 2 now.
Right.
Which means that if we don't get a new class next expansion, people are going to start foaming at the mouth. Like, we didn't get a new race either. Like, that's weird that this new expansion to the game has no new races. They have customization options for the old races.
Right.
That's great. Okay. Where are the new races, though?
Right.
Like, look, I'm one of the people who wanted the Horker to become a race. The Horker are these, like, seal people. I want Horker. Give me Horker. And I think they should fucking invest in this. Like, their new races are like, we're gonna give you furry little short foxes. Like, that's their new race, man.
I'm struggling with everything that just got said.
But for real. Ahead. Okay, so people want this shit. They want new races. They want new classes.
Right.
And the server comes out and it has both. And now I'm starting to see content about it on YouTube. Right. Which is strange to me because typically I don't ever really see content about this stuff like being posted.
Yeah, you would think if they're getting nuked that they would want to stay out of the public eye.
Well, they made a trailer
That's
for their own server.
That's pretty intense.
Which I think means that they're probably hosted somewhere where they're gonna be all right.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't do that otherwise.
No, I don't know.
So they made a trailer, and now I'm seeing other people make content, like
Right.
other just people out in the world who just want to make content about the server, and I don't know how big it is.
Right.
But I saw one video that had 30,000 views on it.
The one we looked at had what? It said it was in
6,000.
Yeah.
About 6,000. It's in alpha.
Yeah.
Which is understandable because, I mean, those things don't ever really come out of alpha, really, because it's a server ran by like 4 blokes.
Yeah, and you don't have a quality department that full blown tests everything and then still misses stuff anyway. But you know,
I think it's interesting though, because I don't know how Blizzard's gonna react. I know how they're gonna react to it if they really want to.
Yeah.
But I don't think they want to. They're already in such a negative light currently.
Yeah.
That I feel like nuking a private server just, I don't know. I think people are going to start really screaming anti-consumer because it is.
Yeah, I can see. So,
in my opinion,
you know, obviously they have their own mess going on right now that I'm sure they've got, you know, massive teams of people that are focused on trying to clean the mess up.
Well,
I don't think adding to that is a good idea. I realize it's not the same exact sphere.
I mean, look, if Blizzard can charge for boosts for a character to get to max level or close to it.
Right. You can buy a max level character, right?
You can buy a character that's 10 levels below that.
Okay.
So you can buy...
That's fucking retarded.
Yeah, so you can buy a character today that's level 50.
Play the game, not the PTS.
Yeah, you can buy a character today, $60.
Yeah.
$60.
That's the price of a game, by the way.
$60.
Because the game's been played for you.
You can make one character level 50. The max level is 60. It used to be different. They changed it in this expansion. So you can buy a character. By the way, every single expansion since this thing existed has come with one of them for free. Meaning that there are now, like, if you were playing during this time, like, you got 4 fucking max level characters just off the expansions.
I would have quit playing just because of that.
I mean, think about it.
That would have made me stop playing.
Think about the people.
Auto play buttons make me stop playing.
Consider the people who, like, are just bad. Okay?
That's why it was created.
Right. But here's the thing,
this
like,
accessibility idea, like we talked about with Elden Ring.
Yes, but think about it. Okay, they're bad at the game. And they just don't know the game yet.
Right.
Right? Because they're like level 20 and they're level and like they don't know shit.
Figure it out.
But now they have a character that's level 50.
Right.
Okay. All right. Hold on. What the fuck are they going to actually do with a character like that?
Probably nothing.
They're not going to know how to play them. They're not. If I gave you a level 50 Necromancer today, do you think you know what to do?
I mean, me? Yeah, probably. But...
No, I mean, like, if I handed it to you and you were given green quality gear.
Yeah.
And a couple bag slot upgrades. Like, do you know the class?
I don't know it within the world that exists, but I'll figure it out.
You'll figure it out. But that's an issue because you should have figured it out when you were leveling it.
Yes.
Like, that's a bad situation.
It's ridiculous.
Anyway, if Blizzard
ridiculous.
And the thing is that they come with big bags too, so they have tons of inventory slots, and they basically just get boosted up. I think they get like 500 gold, and then that's it. Like, you pay $60 fucking for that, and it hasn't dropped in price, by the way.
I mean, I guess it is true that people buy time back. I understand that, but like, we're gonna go back to this. You're playing a fucking game. Play the game.
The issue used to be that you had to quest from level 1 to 120.
Okay.
The
like
issue,
99 used to be level cap, normal.
Here's the issue.
Accepted level cap in every game that existed.
The issue was that originally it was 60.
Yeah.
Then it's 70. Then it's 80. Then it's 85. Then it was 90.
Yeah.
Then it was 100 and 110, 120.
Right.
The issue is that after every expansion, all the content in that expansion just got forgot about.
Right.
Which meant that you were questing through places that, like, haven't seen a developer touch them in 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years.
Right.
So you're playing content
Right.
that is so outdated. And it became a real issue when they started doing class changes that fucked with those zones.
Right.
Like, what if your class can't do a function that was used to be a function, like, I don't know, disarm traps for rogues, but a quest requires you to do that, but you can't now.
Right.
Because you don't have that. So,
like, don't do it.
Right, but now you can't do that content, which means that you have to go do something else to level up. And now it became this fucking whole mess of like shit that's broken.
It sounds like it didn't get managed.
And here was it sounds like. The part that pisses me off a lot about it was like Legion artifacts, then Battle for Azeroth. What would happen is that you would, if you were to quest to Shadowlands in order, even though you couldn't because they changed it, but I'm saying if they were to continue it in this fashion, which they didn't, you would have gotten an artifact, a legendary weapon that's like regaled within the lore,
right,
handed to your character, and you would have gone on, you would have leveled it up, done all this stuff, and then at level 110, you would have thrown it in the ditch, and then you would have got this Heart of Azeroth, which then you would spend the next 9 levels leveling up, and then you would throw it in the same ditch, to then now we have covenants. And see, what they do is you lock yourself into one of these 4 factions, and they have specific abilities each. And you can't change them. But if you want to, you could change. Okay, sorry, no. Now, all right, we're gonna go back on our word. Now you can change them. But if you want to go to a covenant you've already been to, it's gonna take 2 weeks.
Right.
Real life. And you're like, okay, all right. Well, can I get the cosmetics from that other faction? I like the look of that faction's like colors and stuff. No.
Right.
Okay. Can I play their storylines at least, even if it's not for like any power? Just maybe I want to know what's going. No.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. And then now, guess what? Here's what I think is gonna happen. Next expansion is gonna launch. All right. We're gonna take the covenants. We're gonna throw them in the ditch, and then we're gonna have this new idea, and we're gonna spend the whole expansion leveling it.
That sounds like the trend, yeah.
And then what's gonna happen, right, is we're gonna level it all the way up, and right whenever it's at peak power,
you're gonna throw it in the ditch.
We're gonna throw it in the ditch, and then guess what? There's a new item. Yeah. Everybody, look, artifact weapons are back. Like it's gonna be a clown fiesta.
Yeah.
Like WoW was the BMW. Now it's your buddy's Honda Civic, and it's really, and like it's starting to fall apart. And you know he doesn't take care of it. You know he does it because he's driving at 80, and he's telling everyone that it goes 100. And we kind of all know it doesn't, but we just let him have it.
Right.
And now we've let him have it too long, and he's losing it. Like his alternator's out. Now you got to fix it. You know.
Which is where the private servers seem to come in.
And that's what I think. I think that's the whole situation. Like that whole analogy.
Yeah.
Like it used to be nice, and then they just got weird and greedy, and then started kind of just pushing money. Like, give us money. And you're just like, you're like, hey, hold on. What if I'm gonna give you money? Can I at least keep the Ashbringer? No. Give us money so that you can throw it in the ditch because you're gonna buy the expansion, which means you gave us money to throw away your shit.
Right.
And now you get new shit.
But here's alright, so I'm from the generation, and
This is a good way of starting it.
yeah. So I'm from the generation where you purchased the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you bought the game, you own the game, you paid for it once.
And expansions used to add things.
Right. They did. But before that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Like, you bought the game, you paid for it one time. You paid a higher sum of money initially, but you didn't pay for it anymore. Now, today, currently, you have, most games have some kind of, I'm going to refer to it as battle pass or like subscription type payment setup.
So what it's called in the industry is called a live service game.
Okay. All right.
That's a real marketing term.
Yeah. It sounds like a SaaS product. So
it's SaaS?
Yeah, software as a service.
Yeah.
So
that's what it is. That's literally what it is.
So,
as the video games are being fucking monetized and broken apart and sold to you in chunks.
So I you know what? I can get behind the idea that, all right, there's a game that like lives somewhere that's not in my possession. So I pay a subscription to, play the content that's in the game. I can get behind that.
Because maybe there's a good community or a thing that is wrapped in it.
And I don't, I don't have it in my possession, right? So I can get behind like, all right, so instead of spending $80 up front, I spend fucking $10 or $60 up front. I spend $10 or $15 a month.
Well,
depending on the game, like some of them are $4, $5 a month.
You can easily get into Elder Scrolls Online cheaper than you can WoW by a considerable margin.
What I can't get behind is I don't like, and I understand that I guess I do it in some capacity. I'm just not necessarily okay with it. I don't think it's a good structure for you to be like, all right, look, we're going to sell you this. It's $60. And then for you to have like what you need to actually function well and properly and play the game the right way, the way that it's meant to be played, you're also going to pay $10-15 a month. So $60 plus $120. So the course of the year, you've paid us $200. That's per individual. You got hundreds of thousands of people playing the game. All right, look, stop. Back up a second.
Here's the thing. That right there is kind of how Elder Scrolls Online works. But
that's why I'm saying I understand that I do it in some capacity.
That's where the line is, though.
That's crazy.
That's where the line is for MMOs.
Mm-hmm.
I think. All right.
They continually. Here's the ideal, though, is they should. Ideal, by the way, not idea. Ideal.
I mean, at least Elder Scrolls Online, you can buy it for $20.
They should be trying to hit.
You can buy Elder Scrolls Online for $20, so that's considerably a lower barrier to entry.
That's
and
the base game.
Well, and you can technically play it without a subscription, which is more than you would get. And I'm not defending it.
You know where you're gonna go without a craft bag?
Well, you're gonna go right to the bank and then realize you don't have enough slots.
Yes. So,
but it is at least you can play, and you can unlock all of it throughout paying for subscription.
Back to playing the game how it's meant to be played and functioning well in it.
Yeah, well, you can't. Yeah, Elder Scrolls Online doesn't sell you boosts.
Right.
They do have some things I disagree with, but their things are typically not that bad.
Ideally, things get better.
Yeah.
Right. It's a living game that changes and modifies, it expands, it down. You get DLCs, you get stuff.
The Imperials should just be wrapped in at this point.
They should. They should have. It should not be a separate thing.
Well,
it's crazy. They're not that damn good.
Why don't they just wrap them into the sub? I don't know. Like at least wrap them in the sub.
Yeah.
I mean, the sub is standard.
Yeah.
So at least give me my fucking that.
Yeah.
I think having to save up 2 months because it's 21,000 not enough for 1 month is enough to be kind of a bitch slap.
It is, because I mean they're not that good. I'm gonna say it. Like if you're playing one, you're probably
you're
bored or you didn't understand what you did.
Well, I mean they're not actually the best race in the game, which
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they're not. they have some good parts to them, but they're kind of even outclassed by Argonians.
Which is, you know what? That might be a discussion in and of itself, because
Argonians are always the race that people point at and go, well, I mean, everyone's better than Argonian, but if Imperials aren't,
it's not necessarily true. Like, I don't think it is.
No,
I think you just have to be good.
Well, the healing increase is good. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I mean, 7% increased healing. I mean, from the resto staff, that's
good.
I mean,
it's very utility driven.
That's a damn good ability.
Yes.
Now, whenever WoW starts asking, now here's the thing that they're doing now. Here, I'm going to ask you this as a person who never played WoW. Okay, likely never will.
No, I won't.
Right.
Not at all. Not with the pricing and the content explanation and everything around it. It sounds like a shit game. Right. And I'll go on record saying that it sounds like a shit game.
It does a little bit, yeah. So here's the thing. They're doing this new thing that they've been doing for 2 expansions, I believe now. They do the 6-month bundle, where you buy 6 months of WoW time, like the game time, your subscription. Yes. You pay for it all at once instead of over the months.
I could be okay with that.
Which is because a lot of people do have to save money.
Right.
I mean, it's a little bit extra,
Right.
And then you also get a mount.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You should get something for that, yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Now here's their new thing. So, by the way, they also have mounts in game that are $25 each, and they also have pets in game that are $15 and $10 each.
That's a sub. That's a month.
Yeah. So here's the thing. All right, let's go into it. Here's their new thing. If you are a Hearthstone player,
yeah,
and you're like, okay, well, I thought we were talking about WoW here. Card packs are your life as a Hearthstone player,
right?
Because that's a card game,
right?
Cards are king, and they're coming out with this new thing for the game, which is a new game mode, which is interesting and fun, and I'm happy they're doing that. But here's where things start getting weird. So you pay for 6 months of WoW time.
Yeah.
And you're going to receive like $120 worth of Hearthstone card packs for like $70.
So they're pushing the new thing that's coming.
So what I'm hearing from this, WoW is down on subscriptions enough that Hearthstone players are going to buy this because it's clearly more value than they could, like, whatever.
Right.
Like, if you purely play Hearthstone,
right,
or if you purely play WoW, either way, if you play WoW, you're gonna get a mount and a pet, and then another pet, or another mount, by playing one game of Hearthstone.
Right.
So you gain an extra mount for playing one game.
Right.
Which means that one player on one game becomes 2 players on 2 games.
That's funny.
Because that's how they would track it.
They're like, so it sounds like this is what somebody's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know, personally, I know that numbers and things get like twisted in such a way where they sound better than what they are. That's you don't tell your boss, hey, I'm doing a bad job.
Also, you also get all the expansions to Hearthstone, and you also get a tavern pass for the new upcoming thing. Which means that, not only just card packs, it's not $120 worth of just card packs, but it's all together, you're buying the whole game of Hearthstone for fucking $77.
Right.
Which is a lot until you think about it and you go,
all the stuff you got.
Well, I'm a Hearthstone player, and this is a lot of content.
Right.
And I don't play WoW. But, I could buy a 6-month sub, and then what happens? So you spent money on WoW now.
Yeah.
Which means that you're going to play it.
Possible.
You're gonna at least try it.
Yeah.
You're going to at least try it.
Yeah.
Which means that all the people from Hearthstone are going to go.
Numbers.
Yeah. This is the barbarian in the back of the room who's, like, just swinging axes and not... that's what it is. It's just...
Here's what it sounds like, okay? We're gonna break this down into what I think it sounds like. Hear that, what I think it sounds like, based on experience. So they've said, all right, WoW has been the showrunner we kind of fucked it up a little bit. So, you know what? Listen, guys, we make other games. Okay? So, so we're going to give you something for those other games. Or the other way around. All right, look, you play this other game, but like we're losing numbers over here. We really need to pump these numbers up. This is what's going. This is what I see is going on behind the back, like behind the curtain, right? It's like some backdoor
Hey, Hearthstone
shit.
players, you want to try WoW?
Yeah, they're like, hey, guess what? Like,
and they're the
we
same
understand.
characters, by the way. Like Hearthstone has WoW characters. That is, the whole game is based off Warcraft as a franchise. Which means that they're in the same franchise, but they're two completely different games. One is a card game, which is heavily monetized.
So they reskinned something, is what they did. That's a little lazy.
Well, I mean, Hearthstone was a fun game, I'm not going to lie. I used to play it. Now I'm playing Magic because I'm not going to support Blizzard. But that's a personal opinion.
Right.
And when it comes to it, if I was still playing Hearthstone, I'd buy it.
Yeah, but all right, yeah. Why would it'd be hard to make the argument not to, right?
I mean, especially if you're invested. Especially if you're already invested.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing:
if you're already invested on the inside, it's hard to make the argument not to.
When I played Hearthstone, it's very hard for me not to just blow money on it. Like it's a card game. You want more cards.
Yeah.
You need more cards.
Yeah.
So now WoW is a way of getting cards in Hearthstone?
We're gonna pump and dump. We're doing.
I want to call back to.
We're gonna stop the dump. We're gonna pump.
So we're gonna call back real hard. I believe 2017. I was playing Overwatch.
Yeah.
And they had a promotional thing where what you could do is play their other game, which by the way has died. This game died. It's called Heroes of the Storm. And this game was like, they ever played League of Legends?
I've heard of it.
Right,
I've not played it, but I have, yeah.
It was like League of Legends if they didn't try. I'm gonna be honest, it was probably one of the worst games Blizzard's ever made. I hated it.
Look, everybody has failures.
And it's fine. Look, they tried to branch into the MOBA situation. That's a hard market to breach.
Yeah. I'm
not gonna lie about it. So the thing is, I remember back then playing Overwatch. I stopped playing Overwatch for a little bit because I was playing Heroes of the Storm because they had a promotion where if you played a certain amount of games or won a certain amount of games, I don't exactly remember, you got a skin for Genji, which was my main character. Not once did you have to pay for it, mind you, because Blizzard games were meant to be a community.
Right.
A whole thing.
Right.
You could play one game and it kind of they all intermingle every now and then, which is fun.
Yeah.
And good, because I had to pay $0 for a skin that was actually probably my only skin I really used after getting it.
Right.
Like, Oni's skin was badass. You had a fucking shonen mask. Like, you looked awesome.
Right.
And, it was stupid, though. Like, it was a stupid game. I hated the game, but I played it because Blizzard was giving me a skin for it.
Right.
Okay. I didn't spend any money, and I felt inclined to do this. Investment means you're probably gonna play it.
Yeah, why would you don't blow money on something you don't play?
You don't spend $70, $80. It's about $80. I'm gonna say 80 because it's about how much it is. You don't spend $80 for half a year sub to a game you will never play.
No.
So even if you just hate WoW, even if you're a Hearthstone player, it's like, I'm never gonna play WoW again. You're gonna try it.
Yeah, you're gonna
90%. Oh, not maybe not you, but majority of you as a group will try it. And
I mean, why would you not? You're gonna peek your head around the corner and be like, hey, is it any different over here? Nope, it still sucks.
Well, what if you were a guy who quit in like Cataclysm, or Legion, or you quit a couple expansions back, but you never touch WoW again? Because when people quit WoW, there's a good chance they're not coming back.
Right.
So if someone quits WoW, say they play Hearthstone, they still like the world. I mean, I understand why. The world of Warcraft's awesome.
Right.
So you're playing a game, like Hearthstone, and then you see it out of the corner of your eye, you go, oh wow, WoW is playing a promotional thing, and I'm gonna get card packs in the game I play.
Right.
I haven't played WoW in a couple of years. Let me check out how it is.
Yeah.
All those people who, you know, the very few amount of people who haven't fucking played WoW. Like, there's very...
You know what? I think it's honorable in not doing so, especially hearing the description of how things have gone.
I don't know if you were a player of Hearthstone, you're gonna try it. I mean, if you were, and you hate WoW, but you would probably still be like, well, I paid 6 months for it. I mean,
yeah, I'm gonna try it out.
I mean, I might as well try it.
I'm gonna get my money's worth. That's what it boils down to.
Right. Who the fuck wouldn't?
Right.
If you paid for 6 months of game time,
yeah.
I mean, come on.
Right.
And this is a whole situation. I think someone in the money branch, I say the money branch, the people who do the money shit, the monetizing of WoW and Hearthstone, those two dudes are like stroking their egos real hard right now. They came up with this idea, and they were like, look, our games are dying. And they were like, what if we combine them? And they make people pay for it.
That's all right. So there's nothing inherently wrong with like cross marketing. If you have more than one product, you do that. You know, you got and that's everything. That's personal care products. That's fucking automotive products. It's
but the issue products, is, what if both of your games suck a little?
I mean, you got to do something. It's like I said, you can't go to your boss and be like, you know what, I'm doing a real shit job, because guess what? You're probably going to get fired.
This whole thing, I feel like, is a way for them to talk to the people who invested in their company through the stock market.
Yeah.
In a way that doesn't...
Look, the board, like, if...
And they are a publicly traded company.
Right. So they have to go... The board has to put out a letter to their major investors and explain why they should not pull their money from the support of the company.
Right. So their shareholders now are I mean, like, look, Blizzard is, for the last couple quarters, if you've ever looked at, because you can look at it.
Right.
They give some real executive speak where they're like, WoW is performing on key to what we expected in the last quarter, and like they just ramble it.
It's that this is real specific to a vague level that it delivers the message.
We are going to tell you an answer.
Exactly want delivered.
We're going to tell you an answer to a question you didn't ask, but the way that we're going to say we heard it.
Yeah. And
now what's going to happen?
Like, oh. So somebody that's one of the major investors, probably owns 10% of the company, is like, so how much have the subs gone up? And they're like, well, we're performing on par. Like, that's not an answer to my question. You better give me a number or I'm gonna knock your teeth out.
The shareholders don't understand World of Warcraft.
No, I'm sure not.
Because if they did, things that were said in the boardroom meetings. Because I've listened into them, like you can, or not listen into it, but you can watch them after.
Right.
So you can, like, it's easily accessible to find this content.
Right.
If you're looking, they're not talking about WoW.
Right.
They're not like the guys in the boardroom aren't like, so tell us about Shadowlands. No, they're saying, how much money are you going to make me?
Right. Because that's. I mean, if I dump money into a company and it's in a substantial way, like, you better return it with interest.
Well, they're getting loan sharked hard right now, and the situation's gonna come that I think Blizzard's gonna go under for it eventually if they don't keep pulling these ploys. Like, I know this is all conspiracy. Real quick, this is a real quick conspiracy. I think Blizzard's like actual sub numbers are like, and I mean this in a way that is not just bots or people with multiple accounts. I mean the active monthly subscribers,
right, like
people who play.
Right.
I think they are low enough that if Blizzard does not squeeze money from them, they will go under on World of Warcraft specifically.
I I can believe that, yeah.
If you're doing a promotional thing every 6 months,
yeah,
and now you're wrapping another game in, I really think they are actually about to have to let go of WoW.
You're trying real hard when you do something like that.
They're at a certain point, you know, like how much blood can you squeeze from the stone?
I mean, if you squeeze hard enough.
The people who play WoW, they just raid log.
Kmart hung on for a long time. Sears hung on for a long time.
Hey man, I don't know if we can do another 10
before they gave up the ghost to Amazon. Like,
I don't know if we can do a 10-year drawn out death of WoW. I mean, we're kind of there. Like, WoW's death's already been drawn out heavily enough because the game should have been fixed a long time ago, but doesn't get fixed. And these issues have just stacked on top of each other.
Right.
And now people are kind of done. Like, when do you just drop the license, man? Like, it's like that's what's looking at. Like, that's what I think. I think they're looking at the point where they're just gonna have to be like, look, we can't support WoW anymore. Like, not like they have been for the last 3-4 years. I mean, actually not 3 years. I'd say 3 years. Because all of BFA and the recent expansion.
Right.
They have Legion was a damn good expansion. The one before it was hot garbage, and it shows that they've been done with WoW for a while. The dev team just must not care. Yeah. I don't think they do. I don't think the people who are there are the people who made WoW. Because the people who made WoW, the original version, if they sold out this hard, like, I mean, that's sad.
There's those people exist. I don't know much about the situation. I will say that those types of people exist.
I'll tell you this: if this small channel ever gets to the point where we're like that, I'm never gonna ever fucking sell out that hard.
No.
Look, we'll take on a sponsor, maybe, if we like them.
Yeah, like,
and I am not fucking.
You ain't telling no fucking body what to do. Like,
no.
You're getting publicity, and that's it.
Yeah, dude. Like, honestly, if we get sponsors, we better. If we ever did get sponsors, like the sponsors we get, if they tried to ever push a content message hard on us, dropping them.
Yeah.
Like, nah.
In a heartbeat.
And that's because like we stick true to our image as like what we want. Like, it's our creative image, and
yeah.
And yet I could not imagine, for all the money in the world.
Yeah.
Like, if someone came to my house right now and was like, look, I'm gonna give you $5 million for Spy Pie Gaming TV, I'd be like, I think I'll make the money myself.
Yeah.
Like, I can't imagine selling out.
No.
Especially with something that's creative.
It's a channel to like, and
it
channel
is
just happens to be the word that I used. Like, I don't mean it in the sense that it's a YouTube channel. It's a medium in which you can express yourself, right? So, like, what's gonna be seen and heard here is gonna be like legitimate, authentic, 100% of the time. Like, if you don't like it, you don't like it. If it ain't for you, I'm sorry. I wish it was.
I'll tell you this. I'm not going to sign an NDA telling me I have to go through you to go to the government first. Blizzard.
I mean, look, you gave me the title executive.
I did, but I'm not going to ever... Look. You ever try to put an NDA on my desk, that's the day Spy quit Spy Pie. You're going to be left pieless, man. It's going to be bad.
Yeah.
And the thing is,
it depends on what kind of pie it is.
I don't even like pie. Can I actually say that?
You don't like 3.14159?
Well, no. Because
it's
irrational.
That's circles.
It's irrational.
Is what that is.
I have an irrational fear of irrational. No, look. The thing about it is, right? Spy doesn't actually like pie at all. I know it's off brand, right? Spy Pie Gaming TV, everybody. Look, Spy actually I genuinely dislike pie. Entirely almost. I think there's only one kind of pie I like, and I don't remember the name of it.
This is where we get to when we've talked for an hour and a half.
Well, okay.
We just start to degenerate into whatever is becoming.
Jack,
whatever
do you like
comes
pie?
To our mind.
Do you like pie, Jack?
I do.
How much do you like pie?
I mean, it depends on the pie.
What's your favorite pie?
What's it called?
I mean, our channel's name is Spy Pie. We should talk about pie.
Right. Well, it's not like Spy Pie is not my favorite pie.
Well, I mean, I'd hope you wouldn't want a pie full of me.
That's
wow. Okay, yeah. We're gonna stop there.
See,
we're gonna stop there.
That's what I told you. That's what I'm saying. Like we talk for an hour and a half, and it starts degenerating into
lunacy.
Yeah, it starts to turn into like just whatever.
Let me ask you something. All right. Does the moon actually possess such strange powers, or is it all just lunacy?
You know what? Like, call Miss Cleo.
That is my fucking favorite line.
You had to call Miss Cleo on that one.
I know too many quotes from things just out of like. I feel like I could actually give the entire Dagoth like his whole script like offhandedly. I think I could. I can do most of it.
Yeah.
I know that.
There's probably nothing wrong with that, actually.
You know what?
But again,
it's Dagoth Ways by Young Scroll. It ruined me.
Yeah.
It ruined me. I listened to that song for like way too many hours on repeat now. Like, you got that Google Home thing, and now that's just what it's gonna be.
It's yeah.
Now, you know what? Now we can tell Miss Executive when we're recording by playing that music.
Yeah.
Say it's Dagoth time.
Yeah.
And then she'll know.
Yeah.
She'll know it's recording hours.
That'd be a good way to let the message.
We'll make a sticky note on the wall, and it'll just say Dagoth time. I mean, look.
Like it.
Dagoth.
Oh God.
Look.
Yeah.
Look. Nerevar is making it up Red Mountain. Like, we'll just make new ones every day.
Yeah.
So it's like.
She'll read them and have no freaking clue what's going on.
We'll start with the beginning. We'll be like, the Nerevar just got off the doted Satanine, and we'll just stick it on there. And then for the next couple days, we'll just update it. So the story will get longer. And then eventually you'll just have Nerevar rose to the occasion.
Yeah.
And he slayed Dagoth.
Spare me.
Oh, spare me, sweet Nerevar. Spare me.
It's ridiculous.
I love his voice, man. That guy did so much work. Like, I don't even know how you protrude your voice that much.
Yeah.
And I talk a lot. So
yeah.
He was good. He did a good voice acting. And you know what? It was weird because Morrowind doesn't have many people who have voice acting.
Right.
So like the voice clips you hear in game are like very infrequent.
Yeah. And
the thing I remember a lot, like probably the most, is Dagoth and his followers' voices.
Yeah.
Because they were outliers. They stuck out from the general normality of day-to-day Morrowind life.
Right.
And then you just...
It's a significant event.
Yeah,
they better put some...
Look, when Dagoth spoke to you, you felt it.
Yeah.
Like, it was different. Because you've been going quietly along, and you decided to sleep. And now Dagoth is like, hey, look, I'm in your ear.
Yeah.
Spare me. And it's just... I just want a mod for the game that just adds that voice line every single time you die. Every time you die, you just hear, spare me.
That's funny.
You know what? I bet I could open up the creation kit and probably make that. I think I need to make a mod or two. Look, this channel needs an Oblivion mod or a Morrowind mod, and we tie it to the channel. And
I support that.
And it'll just be you know what? Look, if there's any mod I need to make for Morrowind, it's a fucking throwing knives vendor. Because I want throwing knives to be viable. I do. I want them to be viable, but they're just not. Because there's just no vendors for them, and they're really rare.
You're talking about a game that came out like 2 decades ago.
And you're telling me that throwing weapons aren't awesome?
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is we're talking about, like, we might as well be talking about the first Mario game that ever existed.
I mean, I'll make a mod for that too.
That's, yeah, you know.
I feel like that's how we also get the same situation that many of these private servers have.
Probably, yeah.
Look, you don't fuck with Nintendo.
Right.
Nintendo holds their IPs very, very close.
Yeah.
Like, they shut down Smash tournaments because they were using emulators.
Yeah.
Like, it's...
There's some Tolkien estate shit going on there.
I mean, look, they have the right to do it technically under law.
Yeah.
I just disagree with it because it feels like you're kind of slighting the people who support you.
Yeah. It
just, out of everything out of this, I think the one thing I want to just nail in is that you have, as a company who makes a service or a game or whatever, you have the legal right, and you should have the legal right to protect your property. However, doing so, I don't think is a good business practice whenever it directly hurts the community built around you.
I think to build on that statement, I think that I would say it should, your right, because I agree, if it's your intellectual property, it's your intellectual property. Like, I don't want somebody jacking my ideas.
Well, no.
I don't, but you should exercise your right with a degree of, like caution, maybe?
I mean, it wouldn't be...
Just, like, soft-handedness. Like,
why even...
When it's not a direct...
Why burn them to the ground?
Yeah, it's not...
It doesn't seem like they're that harmful.
No, because you're not... Like, you're
you don't even make content in that anymore.
You're Activision, Blizzard, or Bethesda, or some giant conglomerate that owns everything. Like, you're Amazon. You're not in competition with the mom and pop shop. You're just not.
No, they're not. Look, Blizzard they might be now. I'm kidding. But realistically, they're never really going to be in competition.
He's not kidding.
Look, if private servers were legal, I'd probably play on one. But that's only for like a couple hours maybe. I don't really want to invest in a server that's not going to exist.
Would it be one of those where you can earn your subscription that I've heard about? That funny look. I'm sorry.
Hold on. I think you're telling a story that I don't remember telling.
No. If I can't remember the name of it, you would remember it.
What is it? What's it about?
It was one of the role-playing servers you were telling me about.
Oh, yes. Yes, okay, so I'll go into that real quick. So I knew a couple people back when I used to play WoW who would make female characters on...
Spare me.
So they would make female characters on role-playing servers.
Yeah.
They were mostly dudes who would do this.
That sounds very internet-like, yeah.
They were typically Draenei
like
or Night
Internet
Elves.
1.0.
So they were either Space Goats or Night Elves.
That's just...
Look, don't put down the fetishes. Anyway, they would then go to the ends and they would do ERP, which is shorthand for erotic role-playing, and they would receive gold as compensation, and then they would pay for their World of Warcraft subscription by buying WoW tokens, which could be paid for with gold, to renew their subscription. And they would do this maybe, I think one of them did it about a week out of the month. He would log on for, I think, an hour or two and make enough money to pay for his sub.
And these are the people that give role-playing games bad names.
I mean, but we did need him for Raid.
Look,
we
really
did need him for Raid.
You didn't.
I think we did, man.
If he was doing that, you didn't. You could have found a replacement.
No, he
did. Super easy.
He did good damage. I mean, like, look, I don't really want to replace a player.
There's a lot of people that do damage, man.
I know, but like, he was good, so I feel like, look, the rest of them, they didn't do so well, but that guy did good, so I was okay with him.
I mean,
doing
he was
that.
Doing good at more than one thing, though.
I mean, it's
that
weird.
Other thing is
so like what I understood about it was that they would typically move location to do these things, And from what I understand, it was the person paying the gold who chose the things that they did.
It's so just.
So they would procure and say, hey, I would like to do X thing, and then you would be like, how much gold? They'd be like, how much gold for that?
Yeah.
And from what I understand, and this is probably the weirdest part. I think I forgot to tell you this last time, was some kinks cost more money than others.
It's bad when reality bleeds over into role playing that hard.
Some of them,
and it is absolutely the reason that people look at individuals who play Dungeons and Dragons with a weird, like they're looking down on them, and it's those type of people that cause that.
I think, look, if you're wanting to look, role playing in video games,
but that's different.
I think
what you're talking about is different.
Well, hold on.
What you're talking about is degenerate.
Well, look, degenerates also.
You're talking about furries, is what you're talking about.
That hey, look. If you don't got $15 a month, I mean, I feel like I understand a little bit, but I don't. I just want him in raid. I don't want to know what he does really out. But he told me. I didn't want to know, but he told me.
Right.
But I listened.
I'm more authoritarian than you are, I think.
Well, look, I was okay with listening because I was concerned a little bit more than I should have been. When I started hearing that the guy asking was the one, like, setting the boundaries, I was like, okay, all right, look, so like, I'm not gonna insinuate that you've done bad, but I was like, I had to ask. I was like, all right, so, like, how much do these things go for, and how long do they go on for? And
it's that train wreck effect where you can't look away.
Yeah, and so, like, he was like, look, I mean, sometimes some things that people want are like a lot more money than others. And I was like, all right, you caught me off guard there. What do you mean by that? And he's like, well, I mean, if you just want to do light, role playing, I mean, that's nothing bad. That's gonna set you back not that much gold. But if you want to get specific now and going real dark, and I was like, all right, because he's telling me this, and I don't think I should repeat a lot of this.
Yeah, so this segment is gonna get timestamped. Don't let your kids watch.
Yeah, so it was bad though, because it was darker things would cost more, and apparently he never once didn't have those people. At a certain point, those people came back daily.
Yeah.
And apparently, he built a community with these people. Like, they would come to him, his character, regularly. Like, the same person. Regularly. Asking for the same situation. Exactly the same.
Alright, so I'm gonna make the executive decision here. My brain hurts a little bit from all this.
Do you want me to spare you?
Please. And
come to me openly and not through stealth.
Yeah. That was a little too open. But
I mean, look, I gotta share things. I can't keep this in my mind anymore.
No, like,
look, if you
people need to know that those people exist.
If you were role playing on Moonguard in 2018, I think I know some of the people, and they weren't chicks.
That's you need to know that. Like, if that was you need to know that.
You need to know that, like, you're not really talking to a chick, man. Look. You think you are. No, we're going to go with Blizzard's line about classic WoW before they made it. You think you do, but you don't.
Yeah.
You think you do, but you don't know, man. And look, if you're into it, I mean, look, they have games on Steam you can just buy that have that. We don't really need this in WoW. Yeah. Or in Elder Scrolls Online or Final Fantasy. Look, dude, I played Final Fantasy a little bit recently.
The internet has a dark
so I was walking in
web.
town and I saw fucking cat girls on a stage dancing naked, and I was wait, is this part of the game?
Like, look,
These were
There's a
players.
thing when you're on the internet. It's like an iceberg, okay? When you're on the internet,
Okay.
you're just experiencing the part that's sticking out of the water. Okay? So if you need to find these things,
don't tunnel down. Don't. You don't want to know what the other tip of the other side of the iceberg looks like. You don't want to know.
You don't, but that's where you can find that. Not in a game. It's
But I
meant
mean,
for like public consumption.
I mean, hey, it's T for teen. WoW is.
Yeah, teens don't need to see that either.
I'll tell you this: if I had a kid, which I don't, and my teenager was playing WoW on Moonguard, I would heavily, I would pay for a WoW transfer. I would pay for a realm transfer. I would right away. I would transfer the fuck.
I'd be that guy that the dad from Texas that took the laptop out and shot it with his revolver. That'd be me.
It's bad. Don't ever look. To all parents watching, never let your kids play on a role-playing server, ever. I mean ever.
I mean, you heard it.
No, it doesn't matter what game. If you're like, it's just fucking Roblox. No, don't, no. Spare me, Nerevar. No.
So, I think this is a good place to end it.
Jack, you have kids. Do you agree with that?
I just said I would shoot the laptop.
I think we're in agreement. Don't let your kids ever play on role-playing servers. It's a bad idea, and people are weird, and they're just not where they should be.
Yeah.
They should probably be on some forum somewhere deep in the web.
Yeah, like
not like, look, you guys have your place. Let us play video games.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for sticking around and watching. If you stuck around this long, we want to say that we're eternally grateful because you spent some time out of your day, and we understand you didn't have to support the channel. So if you liked it or if you enjoyed it, please like, share, and don't forget to subscribe and turn notifications on. That way you are aware immediately when new content drops. We currently have a 3 a week schedule, 1 Monday, 1 Wednesday, 1 Friday. And normally we ask a question, but I am not coming up with any. Do you think, all right, so what's your opinion of these private servers? Do you think that consumers of a product such as World of Warcraft or, others similar to it should have the right, in some capacity to kind of modify to their own preference?
As long as it's not on the main servers, I think the answer is yes. As long as it's content that is, and I think this is a bit of a weird one, but I think the main thing about it is it's content that's no longer supported.
Right.
So I don't see an issue. I don't personally see an issue. It's not for me,
right,
inherently, but I don't see an issue.
Right. I agree with that statement. So let us know your thoughts on it in the comments down below, and we will see you guys in the next video.
Spare me, Nerevar. Hold on. I'm not done yet. We're going with this. Hold on. No, look. I'm gonna do it this way. Okay, I'm ready.
Go ahead.
Did you bring the false copy of Sunder? Shame on you, Nerevar. Oh, sweet Nerevar. And then what is it? What's the other line? It's, bring Wraithguard to the Heart Chamber to Kulakan. I have need of it there. I have prepared a place for you, Nerevar.
This is what I deal with.
Hey, Jack. I'm Nerevar now. I'm gonna come over there and slay the Dagoth. I'm gonna do it. Yeah.